Okay everybody, welcome back to the channel. So we've got a driver comparison and it's last year's model against a new model, and it's the Mizuno, obviously the new STZ, which is the 2021 driver, up against the previous model, which is the ST200 in the G. So the big differences here really is the G has got the movable weights on the bottom of the sole. They've sort of done away with that now, and it's just basically a fixed weight positioning. But it's the new against the old. We're going to compare it. We'll see what any differences are, and both look amazingly good from the top, to be honest. But we're going to test it obviously a little bit more detail with TrackMan and provide you with some feedback of the numbers and also my personal feel of the differences of these two drivers. Okay, so we're going to start off with the previous model ST200G. So as I mentioned, we've got some similar technology that we see in the new one. We've got obviously the difference here is the main tracks. We've got two tracks here, two weights, two 11-gram weights, and I've put those in more of a neutral position. So it is a little bit more of a low spin characteristics here. And it's interesting when Mizuno maybe just got away from that track system, and obviously they've developed a driver there, which is what they're saying is still fairly low spin, even though you know, you haven't got all the weights to really sort of shove into that forward position. We've got wave technology that we've seen, carbon crown, and we know Mizuno make, or the last few models, they've done a fantastic looking drivers in my opinion. And putting that down with the ball, it's a beautiful shape. It's, you know, black gloss, Rumbird logo on the top as a bit of an alignment aid. We see that little bit of carbon through, little white lipstick around, and it sits incredibly square, which is great. This is a 9-degree head, set at 9 degrees. As I say, the weight's fairly neutral. Hazardous smoke, RDX in a X. And that wasn't a bad strike. Good bit of speed there, opening shot, 114.6, just a touch up that left side. Ooh, that is fairly low spin, 1700 that spin to just short 280 on that carry. So straight away there, first instincts with that is it's a bit of a loud crack to that. Be interested to see how the new one sounds up against that. Stunning looking golf club though behind that golf ball, really good. That's a nice shot. Lovely flight. Touch more toe there, yeah, a little bit high toe shot. See the ball speed's not quite as quick on that hit. Club head speed wasn't quite as quick either, but look how spin really dragged down. That slight high toe is always going to pull that spin off. But luckily with there, you know, you're getting that launch, your 13 degree does help. You know, it's that high launch, low spin. So distance wise, consider ball speed wasn't as quick, distance wise was still decent. Yeah, that does look to be very low spin. That's launched nicely, to be fair. It's good flight height wise, but that looks to be low spin. Yeah, 1600, really low. You can just really sort of see it through the flight down the range there. The ball just starts to drop out of the sky a little bit quicker. When you get that low spin, it starts to, not so much nose dive, because I've got a decent launch there at 12, but you can see it just starts to drop out a little bit quicker when you get that low spinning one. So again, good strike, loads of flight on that. Good launch 12. That won't be as low spin, doesn't look to be dipping as much. Yeah, 2, 3, it's still in that lower area, but much more where I would like to sort of see it. Okay, so just to sort of move on from there, I'm going to stick with the ST200G for now before we move into the newer version, the STZ. I'm just going to move these weights in that furthest back position now. So obviously pulling that CG as far back in that club face should help to increase that spin a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes. Okay, so we've got those weights in that furthest back position. Let's see, because that spin was a little bit low for me. Okay, just tugged a little bit, but that is definitely just staying in that air. I mean, I've struck that in my defence a little bit slightly low in that club face, but 2.5 spin. And it's interesting, you have two 11-gram weights there that I've moved from fairly sort of central in the head just to that back section. You can feel that weight distribution in the head. It does make a big difference there. I can feel it now more in that back area. It just feels different. Oh, it's just peeling off that right hand side there, that particular one. Strike was good. Club head speed's really good. Ball speed, great. Yeah, 2.7 spin. So just seeing that spin a little bit of a better air, and that might be one of the reasons where they've done away possibly with the weights now. They may be seeing, you know, with those weights in that forward section, it just was a bit too low spin. They may have sort of found that, is there a need to really have all that adjustability of the weights? Possibly not. That's a nice shot. Definitely a loud crack to that. Fantastic looking drive. The sound is fairly loud, what I'm finding with that. And again, good ball speed, 2.5 spins. So that changing that weight has definitely made a difference there. Let's jump now into the STZ. Okay, so just flip the hazardous smoke RDX, same shaft just used, into the new STZ Driver. So obviously all the previous shaft adapters will fit into the new head, just so you know if you've got an older driver, Mizuno wise, or should I say ST200, that same adapter will fit into the new one as well. So obviously the new one, we don't have that movable weight front to back. We've got a fixed weight in that back section, wave technology, a little bit more carbon in the sole. So there's obviously clearly some different distribution of weight saving, you know, in and around that club head to then reposition it. And again, first impressions down by the golf ball, it's a fantastic shape again. It's very similar shape, I think. Let's just get the two side by side. Yeah, so the actual shape of the heads is I would say, fairly similar. Possibly, if anything, slightly with the STZ, slightly longer from that front to the back, but literally slightly. Just lost the lip sticking around the back. We've still got the carbon. We've got now a little darker patch. It's a little bit more of a clear split between that black polish to the carbon on the newer one compared to the ST, where it's sort of just gradually faded into the carbon. But again, it's a great looking driver. It looks quality down by that golf ball. Just got that STZ little logo on the inside of the heel. And that's a nice opener. And I tell you what, straight away there, that sounds very, very different. Much better in my opinion there. A lot more of that carbon sound. Obviously it's got extra carbon in that sole compared to the ST. A lot quieter, but a really good positive crack to that. That's a nice shot. A little bit on that toe side. Yeah, just slightly high on that toe. Could just feel that on that strike. It's probably going to pull a bit of spin off there, to be honest. Yeah, sort of 2,000 mark, but it's not mega low like we did see in the 200 version, especially with those weights a little bit further forward. We did see some big drop-offs on that spin, especially when you hit that slight toe, because we know that's always going to pull a bit of spin off as well. So probably just instinct, first few shots there with that spin and that certain missing that toe, how it doesn't plummet too much. It's a little bit more of a playable driver, this, compared to the 200. Not quite as aggressive on that low spin. Now the loft we've got on the STZ comes at 9.5 degree now, and I've got it set at 9.5 where the 200 was a 9 degree head. So Mizuno have just changed the loftings fractionally there. So bear in mind we've got half a degree more loft with the newer one compared to the previous one. You appreciate it might just give you a fraction more launch, fraction more spin, maybe a fraction less speed if you're going to get really picky. But obviously my strike around the club face will obviously dictate that, probably a little bit more than that half a degree. That's a great flight on that. Just a tiny bit on that toe, but some good, really good club head speed, ball speed, 166.6, 21 with that slight toe strike. Again, it hasn't plummeted into sort of 1700 that we saw maybe with the 200G. Good numbers. That's for me what I like with the newer one compared there. Those certain misses, when we know spin gets pulled off, it's as we've just mentioned, it's not plummeting too crazy where you start seeing that ball dipping, because that didn't look like it did. Where if you remember when in that first batch we saw some that I said to you, just looks like it just starts to drop out that sky when that spin gets too low. Okay, solid strike, just popped out a touch lower, just slightly pulled out with a little bit of cut back to centre. So that launch just obviously drops. But again, that spin is in a really good area. Okay, there's a few shots here against the previous model, the ST200G. Let's look a little bit deeper on the numbers. Okay, quick look at the strike patterns on those batches of shots. So this is the first one with the weights a little bit further forward with the ST200G. So you can see just slightly high toe on those strikes. You can appreciate that. It would also help to pull that spin off. So that's what I was talking to you about before. If I miss that strike and that slightly high toe with a driver that's maybe already really low spin, then it's going to pull more spin off because of that slight high toe miss. That's when you can get those really low numbers and they start dipping out the sky a little bit. Just shifting that weight into the back of the golf club with the ST200G. You can see strike pattern just changed a little bit, touched a little bit lower in the face. Again, that would also help a little bit on just keeping that spin or having a little bit of extra spin on there. And then moving to the STZ. You can see again just slightly more toe in that strike, so again that would pull spin off, but we didn't see it plummet as much. Okay, and obviously looking at the dispersion ring, so we've got again the white was the lower spin with the ST200G, then the yellow was with the weights in the back, so you see front to back was very consistent, a little bit left to right dispersion there, and then obviously the pink was the STZ. And then obviously just comparing a few numbers. So we can see ball speed wise, we've just got a little bit more speed with the ST200 164.6 with that weights in the back section there, which was quite interesting. 163.6 with the STZ, but obviously just a mile an hour slower, so probably quite equivalent really. But again, good spin there. So again, I think this is where one of the reasons maybe they've moved that track out of the newer one. You're thinking, oh, they've stripped out all that lovely adjustability that you got there, but it's probably just I would say the ST200G was just a bit too fiery in a way, a little bit too low spin. Probably not many golfers are going to play that in that furthest forward position, unless somebody's a really high spinner of the golf ball, but very limited there. I think the ST, much more playable driver, you know, with that weight back, a little bit more of that normal sort of spin section there. Obviously you can dial that in a little bit more through the shaft as well. But obviously, you know, it's a very good performing driver. Okay, so there you go. There's a new version STZ up against the previous model ST200G. So I think for me, it's a good improvement there. Yes, you've lost that adjustability, but I think most golfers probably won't need that with the way the ST200G head was. Much more stable on that spin with the newer version. And I mean, they both look fantastic down by that golf ball. A little bit different with the ST, just that more of a split of that dark to the carbon. I don't mind it. The shaping of it's absolutely beautiful. It sits very, very square, but the sound is so, in my opinion, is so much better. Not quite as tinny and as loud as the 200. So I think some nice improvements there from Mizuno. We'll probably know we're not going to see a huge amount of distance gains there, but I think just those misses in certain areas, that club face, that high toe, which I'm glad I've hit a few like that, to be honest. You could see the spin just didn't plummet massively, so I think it's just a nice follow on from the 200G. So good, probably one of Mizuno's best performing drivers in my opinion there. It's just a shame that they may not be getting out the tour exposure out there as much. Hopefully get this in more tour players' bag. I think they'll probably see a lot more sales come their way then. Okay, appreciate your comments. As always, if you do, fire them in that section down below. Love to hear your thoughts. If you haven't subscribed and you're enjoying the content I'm putting out there, then please do so. If you have subscribed, then appreciate your support as always. And hopefully I'll catch up with you all very soon.